Chapter 24. The sight of the alabaster seraph, growing larger as the punt approached, did nothing to calm Elaine. If Elaine had read Vi's letter correctly, it seemed like so long ago now, Vi had ringed Kyler without his permission, with the very wedding earrings Kyler had intended for Elaine and himself. Elaine had never been so furious for so long. She knew it was destructive. She knew it would eat her alive. Only weeks ago she'd killed a man, and she hadn't felt the wash of hatred she felt now. Elaine knew she was being disobedient, holding on to her resentment, her righteous wrath, but it made her feel powerful to hate the woman who'd done her wrong. Vi deserved hatred. The punt docked in a small slip magically shielded from the rain, and the boatman pointed her to a line. Elaine joined 24 other people, mostly women, who had come to petition the chantry. An hour later, when she gave her name and asked to see Vi, the sister found a note about her and sent a tyro running. Several minutes later, an older Magi with the loose skin and ill-fitting clothes of a woman who'd lost too much weight too fast came out. "Hello, Elaine. My name is Sister Ariel. Come with me." "Where are you taking me?" "To see Uli and Vi. That's what you want, isn't it?" Sister Ariel turned and walked away without waiting for a response. Many steps later, they stopped at a hospital floor with hundreds of beds, lining the circumference of the seraph. Most of the beds were empty, but sisters with green sashes moved among those that were occupied, sometimes touching the walls, which immediately turned transparent, letting in the diffuse morning sun. "Is Uli ill?" Elaine asked. Sister Ariel said nothing. She led Elaine past dozens of beds. Some of the girls on them had arms or legs wrapped in gauze, and here and there ancient-looking magi slept, but most of the injured had no obvious wounds. Magical wounds, Elaine supposed, didn't always leave evidence on the body. Finally, they stopped at a bed, but the woman on it wasn't Uli, it was Vi. It took Elaine's breath away. She had thought from the glimpse of the red hair on the trail that she'd never seen Vi before, but she had. Vi had been at the fateful last party at the Jadwin estate. That night Vi had come as a blonde, wearing a dress that was a scandal in red. Elaine remembered the swirl of emotions she'd felt that night clearly. Shocked that someone would wear such revealing attire. Judgment, fascination. Elaine, and every other man and woman, hadn't been able to take her eyes off the woman. Immediately after those first emotions, without ever losing her outrage, she felt jealousy, longing, the sick stomach sensation of not measuring up to such beauty, wishing that she could attract such stares, and knowing she never would, and would never wear such clothes even if she could, but wishing all the same that she might, just for a few moments. Vi was that woman, and if anything, with her glossy, flaming red hair, rather than what must have been a blonde wig, Vi was even more striking. Then, as Elaine stepped closer to the bed, she saw Vi's other ear. She wore a single earring, mistral and gold, sparkling in the morning light coming through the walls. It was half of the exact pair of beautiful wedding earrings Elaine had pointed out to Kyler. The wash of emotions Elaine had already been feeling suddenly had a boulder dropping in it. This was her competition. This creature had ringed Kyler. No wonder he'd chosen her. What man wouldn't? Unnoticed, Sister Ariel had come to stand beside Elaine, and now she spoke, her voice barely a whisper. "When she's asleep, I see what a beautiful woman Viridiana would have been." Elaine shot a look at the sister. Like she could be more beautiful? "She is brittle and sick and hard and abused. Her character is as base as her body is beautiful. You'll see when she wakes. She's a walking tragedy. The trade she was taught would wreck anyone with a soul. You know that from Kyler's experience. But Vi didn't just learn a sick trade. She learned under Hugh Gibbet. All too often literally under him from the time she was a child. Whenever I, old and fat as I am, see her asleep, I still get jealous. I still forget that Vi's beauty has been no friend to her." Sister Ariel paused, as if captured by a thought. "In fact, the only friend she ever had, male or female, was Jarl, and the God King compelled her to kill him." Elaine didn't want to hear it. "What's wrong with her? I mean, why is she here?" Sister Ariel sighed. "Our initiation doesn't only require aptitude, it requires focus. Vi has aptitude to an almost appalling degree. She is as talented as she is beautiful. I was and am worried that learning that may spoil her. Learning our art properly takes patience and humility, and women with enormous talent tend to lack both. So I pushed her into the initiation immediately. With what she's done and been through the last weeks, she had no focus at all, almost no will even to live. It was nearly a death sentence. She shrugged. Elaine, I know Vi has done you a great wrong. These marriage rings are ancient. I'm studying the rings now to see if it's even possible to break the bond. I don't have high hopes, and I know, she confessed, that she ringed Kyler when he was unconscious. The other sisters don't know that. It is considered one of the greatest crimes among us, even if she did it to save a country and to save Kyler himself. Vi surely deserves whatever vengeance you would give her. If you choose, you should be able to wake her. If you wish to stay here at the chantry, rooms will be provided for you. If you wish to speak with Uli, she should be finishing her morning classes in 2 hours. I will be in my room if you need me. Ask any tyro, any of the young women dressed in white, and they will take you wherever you wish to go. With that, Sister Ariel left Elaine alone with Vi. Elaine looked around as the sister disappeared. There was suddenly no one else in sight. She touched the knife at her belt. She could kill Vi and simply leave. She'd killed now, and she knew how. She squeezed her eyes tight shut. God, I can't do this. After a long moment she breathed, unclenched her jaw, willing herself to relax, opened her eyes. Vi lay as before, beautiful, peaceful, graceful, but instead of imagining her again at the Jadwin estate, attracting lust and jealousy like a lodestone, Elaine imagined her as a child. Vi had been a beautiful child in the Warrens as Elaine had been a beautiful child in the Warrens. Neither had emerged unscathed. Elaine looked at Vi and chose to fix that child Vi in her mind's eye, the beautiful, carefree little girl with flame-red hair before the Warrens had sullied her. She's never had a friend. Elaine didn't know if it was her own thought or the one God's voice, but she knew instantly what he was calling her to do. Elaine breathed deeply, frozen to the spot. It's too hard, God. There's no way, not after what she's done. I want to hate her. I want to be strong. I want to make her pay. She spoke and raged and complained about the justice of making Vi suffer, and through it all the God said nothing. Yet through it she felt his presence. And when she was finished, he was still there, and Elaine knew her choice was simple: obey or disobey. She breathed deeply one more time, then sat in the chair beside Vi's bed and waited for her to wake. From the stairs, staring through a crack in the door, Sister Ariel breathed, for the first time in what seemed like many minutes. She released her talon and eased the door shut. Another gamble, another win. She hoped her luck didn't run out any time soon.